One of the things I love about the Coptic Center here is that the different presenters don't have to talk to each other to blend perfectly. What Rose brought up with the Hamid Bey lessons, if she wasn't so well presented, I would have swore she was reading my notes back then. But I was listening to what she had to say, thinking, okay, what can I use to bring into my talk? But there were so many different things that I lost track. But one thing I do want to start with is the same thing she was starting with, that there's so many things that are happening in the world today that when we go to try to solve a problem, we can't just go back to what we did before because it's almost always a new problem. It's a new set of circumstances. It's different people that are involved. It may be that we have a new understanding that we're bringing into it. And so it's almost like every single day we're starting over again. And yes, we can bring some things in from the past, but we also have to respond to the situation as it is because it's always going to be a little bit different. The other thing that she brought up that I really want to stress is that there are so many competing ideas. There are so many experts who will tell you, well, this is what you have to do, and these are the steps you have to follow, and this is the only way it will work. And you talk to 3 different experts, and they all tell you something different. In fact, it reminds me of an old joke. A man with a watch knows what time it is. A man with 2 watches isn't so sure. Same thing about the experts and life coaches and all that. You can talk to one person, and if that's all you do, it's like, okay, this is what this person's telling me to do. I'm going to follow these steps, and we're going to go with it. But if you start reading different books, you read one book from me, one book from Carrie Ellis, one book from somebody else, and you start to try to see, okay, what's the commonality between all these? And they're all talking different things. And you end up not sure what to do because they're all telling you to do something different. What I'm here to tell you about tonight is how you can get the perfect answer every single time, because there's a source of guidance within each and every one of us that is never wrong. Rob was talking 2 weeks ago about his experience in contacting the other side. And there were so many things that he was talking about that's like, yes, 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 yes. This is my experience. I didn't have the same experience that he had, but I've worked in that fashion for so long that I've made a strong enough connection with that spiritual side to where he was telling it exactly the way I saw it. So I know I didn't get a chance to give you that confirmation before. I'm giving that to you now. Right on the money, right on the money. But the bottom line in all of this is that this divine mind, this Christ consciousness is within each one of us. And there is a simple, not always easy, but simple way of contacting it. And to ask whatever questions you might have and get the right answer in the moment. Okay, I did have notes. I can go back to them if I need to. I don't think I'm there yet. Let me ask you a question. Anybody know who Albert Einstein was? Of course, everybody knows. What's he famous for?
Theory of relativity.
Where did he get that theory of relativity?
From a higher mind.
From a daydream. He had a daydream. He asked his inner mind, what would it be like if I were riding on a beam of light? And the answer that he got from that deeper wisdom opened up a whole new world of possibility. Let's see, who's the next person that I want to talk about? I don't know. There's a lot of people. We were singing Beatles song. Anybody know where the song Yesterday came from? It came from a dream. Paul McCartney woke up one morning with the song fully developed, ringing through his head, and he sat down at the piano and wrote it out. A lot of people say that Mozart was the same way, that his music, handwritten, was note perfect. There were no corrections, there was no anything, because he was simply dictating what he heard from within.
He was transcribing.
Transcribing. Okay, I might have used the wrong word, sorry. There are a lot of examples. Mary Shelley in the book Frankenstein came from a dream. Stephen King has a number of his books that were at least inspired by dreams. Yeah. The inventor of the sewing machine racked his brain for days and days and days, couldn't figure out how was he going to thread that needle so that the sewing machine could do what it needed to do, until he finally saw the answer in a dream. The structure of the benzene molecule was given to the person who, I can't even remember the name, but that came from a dream. There are so many scientific breakthroughs that have come from dreams. And this gives us a little bit of evidence, a little bit of proof that the information that we get from our deeper minds can be, in fact, absolutely perfect. Okay, that's all I needed to go from there. My own experience, I've been talking about some of this in my Symbolic Solutions workshops this year, in January and again in May. But one of the big things that I've noticed is that the more I get away from my conscious mind, and that's hard for me to do because I am such a logical conscious mind person that I have to literally set that conscious mind aside and say, okay, I'm going to go within and I'm going to take my question to that deeper mind, ask my deeper mind, how do I handle this? What do I do in this situation? And whenever I do this, the answers that I get in that process are always better than anything I could have come up with consciously. One of the reasons why my notes is back there is because I don't want to get my conscious mind involved in this. The notes came from going within, asking my deeper mind, okay, what's the structure for the talk that I'm going to be giving tonight? And I saw the whole thing. You start with this topic, then you move to this topic, then you go to this topic, and you end with this. And I came back out and I'm taking notes, I'm writing it down. It's like, okay, this is the answer for this situation. The other thing, I do remember one thing that I forgot in my introduction. The reason for going through all this is because another thing that Rose mentioned, we are so busy in our world today. We are trying to do so many different things. And if we do listen to all these different experts telling us, do this, try this, do this, and even not only the experts, but sometimes our friends and family will say, well, this is what you should do here. And it may be something they have experience with. It may be something they have no clue about, but they're going to give you information anyways. The problem is that there are so many different things that we want to do in our lives, things that we have to do, things that we want to do. And if we have any chance whatsoever of actually enjoying life, there are certain things that we have to get done and out of the way. And if we're spending all of our time trying this idea, well, that didn't work. Trying this idea, well, that didn't work. Trying this idea, that didn't work. Trying something else and eventually finding something that works. I remember reading where some of the top executives in the Fortune 500 companies will say that as long as they're right 51% of the time, they're good. They're happy with that. Because that 51%, that extra 1 or 2% that leans them in that direction, they figure as long as they're doing enough things, that 1% is going to move them in the right direction. It's kind of like banks and their compound interest. That's why banks are so rich, because they charge that little extra percentage on the loans. But again, it's like with a lot of marketers. I'm in a marketing field, publishing online website stuff, And a lot of marketers will talk about how they will do 10 different projects in a year. And if 3 of them are even halfway successful, they're happy with that. They'll usually say out of 10 projects, 6 will fail miserably. 2 will do okay. 1 will actually make some decent money, and then 1 will actually be a winner and hit the big time. But why do 10 different projects if you could go within, get the answer, and just do the one that's really going to work? That's what really excites me about the possibilities and what we're talking about here. When you go within, touch that deeper mind, get the answers from within, it eliminates a lot of that wasted effort that we really don't want to be doing too much of anyways, right? I mean, how many people like to waste their time? I'm not seeing any hands. Okay, so again, I'm a very conscious mind person. It has been difficult for me to learn how to tap into that inner wisdom. It's taken me a lot of years. I've been involved with this material for about 35 years now. And for a lot of the beginning years, the first 10 to 15, I was learning about it, I was studying it, but could I do it? Not at all. Not at all. Eventually, I started developing a few abilities here and there. I'm going to skip all that whole section because you don't really need to know that. It's not all that important. The bottom line is that after all that time, after 35 years, I think I finally found something that works for the conscious mind thinker. And that's the tough one. I mean, there's a lot of people here that I know who are very intuitive, you're very emotional, and it's a lot easier for you to tap into that deeper wisdom. For me, it was very, very difficult. So here's the process that I've learned that works for me. First step is to pretend that I'm going to take a nap for a little while, because the first step is you've got to relax. And by relax, I don't mean just shut down the radio, turn off the TV, put away the books, and sit down. That's just the bare beginning of relaxation. Relaxing means to get rid of anything that could distract your attention. If you need to loosen clothes, if you need to take off the shoes, if you need to lay down on the couch, whatever it is, you want to be able to relax completely. So I just approach it like, okay, I'm going to take a little nap once in a while. And while I can go without seeing everybody, I'm more comfortable this way. So first step is relax, and that gets into the humor that we were told about from Hamid Bey earlier today. Because humor is one of those things that kind of helps open us up. It's not the only thing that helps open us up. So what I do instead of that, I mean, that's definitely one way of doing it, is to think of something humorous. But once you get relaxed, once I get totally relaxed, I go on a little mental indulgence. I think of something that feels really, really good, which for me is usually a nice big hug. And I imagine that I'm hugging God. And that just totally opens me up. You were giving some examples in your talk about to describe what it feels like on that other side, to imagine the best meal you've ever had, to imagine all the wonderful experiences that you've ever had in your life, the best of the best, and combine them all into one. And if you can imagine feeling that good, that type of an indulgence, it does 2 things for you. First of all, it helps you relax even further, and it helps you open up those deeper levels of the mind so that your conscious mind can go down deep into that subconscious mind, which is where you need to go to tap into the superconscious mind. Again, she was reading off my notes because that's a very key word. Psychologists say we have 3 levels of mind: conscious mind, subconscious mind, superconscious mind, which confused me for a long time because I thought super meant above. So conscious mind here, subconscious mind here, superconscious mind there. Well, it's not quite that way, because super just means more powerful. Conscious mind here, subconscious mind here, superconscious mind down here. You've got to go through the subconscious to get to that superconscious. Got to go through the subconscious to get to the superconscious. You've got to go within to tap into the mind of God. So the further you can go within yourself, the better. That's why I'm spending so much time here talking about relaxing as deeply as you can. It is so, so critically important. Once you are as completely relaxed as you possibly can be, the next step in tapping into that guidance to activate that GPS, as we were talking about, that will guide you, turn here, turn there, slow down, stop, giving you all those little directions on how to get to where you want to go. Once you have relaxed and opened things up within yourself, the next thing is to use your imagination to define, what is it that I want to accomplish? What is my goal? What is my target? They say if you can't see the target, there's no way you're going to hit it. Unless you are a Zen master, and then you can be blindfolded and still do the archery. But I'm nowhere near that. So I need to know a target. All this works better if you give your deeper mind, that divine mind, a target to reach for. This is what I want to manifest. And you imagine it in as much detail as you possibly can. And again, going back into that indulgence, going into the humor, give it that positive emotion that you would actually feel if you were living in that realized manifestation. And then that communicates to your deeper mind what it is that you want to manifest. It's programming that GPS. This is my destination. Lead me here. And technically, if you left it at that, that would be good enough, because once you come back out of that experience, your deeper mind is going to start nudging you. Okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. And the way that it nudges you, and I think a lot of people will identify this. When you look at something, it looks good. When you hear something, it sounds right. When you think about something, it feels, it's got the right vibration to it. Whatever your modality is, you will get a positive response when you're going the right direction, or at least when you're considering going the right direction. And if you're thinking about doing something that's going to take you away from that, you'll get the recalculating message that says, whoops, 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 don't go there, red light, barricade, whatever your symbol is. And again, going back to the symbolic solutions workshops, the deeper mind communicates in symbols. It will give you a symbol that is unique to you, that will give you the message as quickly and as directly as possible. And again, going back into the traffic line, is that if you're thinking about, okay, I think I need to call these places, I need to submit these applications, let's say your goal was to earn more money. Okay, I need to start going to job interviews, I need to start doing this, maybe I need to go back to school, whatever it is, to develop my skills. When you start thinking about doing one of those things, you've got to pay attention, check in with that GPS. You can't just program it and throw it out the window. You've got to pay attention to it. Pay attention to the signals that it's giving you. And so if you're thinking, okay, I think I might need to go back to school. Okay, well, what am I feeling about this? Am I feeling, is that a positive feeling, or is it a feeling like, I think that might be a waste of time? And here's where I get into trouble. So I need to communicate this too. You've got, again, got to get that conscious mind out of the pathway. And that's why it's a good idea on a periodic basis, once a day, if it's a long-term project, once a day, relax, go within, ask the question, what do I need to do today? What's my next step? Where do I go from here? And wait for an answer. Because an answer As long as you've got that contact, as long as you've made a good connection with your deeper mind, the answer will be there. Those of us who are very highly conscious mind oriented, it may take a little time to develop that ability to relax and make that contact, but once you do, the answers will be there. It's like when I went to get the outline for this talk tonight, it didn't take a long time. Now that I have developed the ability to relax, I sit down, I go through my process, 5 minutes later, I'm there. And I can ask for the information and I can get the answer and I can come back out and it's like, okay, good. Now I've got my next step. This is what I need to do. And I can ignore all the other experts that are out there telling me to do something different. So, how many people would like to go through an example of this process? Okay, let's go ahead and shut down the lights and we'll walk this through. So, again, first step, relax. And I know for me, taking a nice deep breath is one good way to relax. Sometimes I need to stretch to get rid of some of that muscle tension so I can relax even further. One thing that works pretty good for me is to imagine that time has stood still. Nothing is happening. I am a statue. And from the statue, I become a pool of water. I just let everything go. And so that is our first step. Let everything go. Forget about everything that may have been happening before. Forget about what may be happening afterwards. Separate this moment and be here now. And in that relaxed state, again, what works for me is to imagine a little indulgence, something that feels really good. And it can be anything. It can be a meal, it can be a dessert, it can be a person, it can be an activity, it can be anything. Just imagine having fun, doing something that feels very good. And just let yourself relax into it. And as you're relaxing into it, you are going deeper within yourself. And because I have some experience with hypnosis, I tend to think in those terms. And so I think of myself going down deep into myself, as in going down a flight of stairs, big, open set of stairs, solid marble stairs. And I step down one step at a time, going down deep and deeper and deeper into my deeper self. And once you are down there, imagine that you are transported into an ideal place of relaxation. It can be a place in nature, it can be a park, it can be a beach, it can be a cottage on the lake. It can be any place you want it to be. Just some place that you are able to relax completely. And in this place, imagine that you are going to meet your deeper mind. Imagine that you're going to meet what some people call the higher self, your master, your guide, your teacher. Whatever word you want to use for this very important being. Imagine that you meet this being now. And allow yourself to go through the normal greetings that you would do in the situation. And once you are good with that, just be real. And describe what it is that you want to accomplish next in your life. What is the problem that you need to solve? What is the goal that you want to attain? You don't have to talk about what you've tried because this grand being already knows what you've tried. You don't have to describe how you want it to happen because that's what you're asking for, is how is this going to happen? And I'll give you a minute for you to receive some bit of information that will tell you what your next step will be. One other thing that you can do is you can ask this divine being within to give you a symbol that you can use while in the conscious level that will help you reconnect to this wisdom. Now, the symbol can be anything. It can be a color, it can be a word, it can be a picture, it can be a feeling, a sound, anything. And accept whatever symbol your deeper mind gives you. And remember it, because this is something you will use in your daily life to reconnect to this wisdom so that you can continue to get guidance step by step until you reach the goal. And so at this point, we're going to go ahead and thank our deeper mind, thank the divine mind within for the help that it has given you. Knowing, obviously, that you can return at any time. And so now we will come back into the room, into your body. Take a deep breath to bring the life back up and get the energy going again. And when you are ready, you may open your eyes. Okay, so
You're good at that hypnosis.
I've had a little bit of practice.
I'm not gonna bark like a chicken later, am I?
No. We've got the recording, so you can see what suggestions I gave you. So I'm not going to ask for any personal details, but how many people felt like they got a really good answer from that?
Got one for you.
At least half. At least half. So that's good. Considering this was just a very short little sample. So practice this. Take your time. Go as far down into yourself as you possibly can. Relaxation is critical. It's the most important part of the process, with one possible exception. There is a third step to the process. Well, there's another step to the process. I've lost count. I've added some steps. But I think of it in terms of relax, imagine, and then the third step, which is to trust. Trust the process. Trust the information that you've been given. And trust that your deeper mind is there with you, giving you good information at all times. Yes.
Question. When we went down into the deeper self, was that the higher self? Was that at the super conscious level? Or not really quite?
My own personal thought on that is that it's all the same. The deeper mind, the superconscious, the divine mind within, the higher self, masters, teachers, guides, it's all coming through that one channel. So you can give it any name you want to. Personally, I see those different names and labels as other symbols. It's like you have a teacher, and that teacher role is a symbol. You might have just a playmate, a spiritual playmate companion that is just to have fun with. That is a role. That can also be a symbol for you. You will have other guides who are telling you what to do and how you should be developing through this lifetime. And that can be just another symbol. And I say can be. I'm not saying it is. Because I think with our human consciousness, we cannot truly understand what's actually happening on the spiritual level. We can have theories, we can have ideas and concepts, but I don't think any one of us truly knows 100%. It's like we're all are these different experts. It's like listening to 3 different news stations for the weather. It's like, again, you listen to one, you know what the weather's going to be. You listen to 2 or 3, and you're not so sure. So that's pretty much all I have for you right now. And I thank you. And I encourage you to keep working on this. I think we have another question. No? Okay. Thank you.